Well, today we've got Bobby Robertson, well-known player for Dunfermline, and in his second life here I was the well-known Doc.
That's right.
So, welcome Bobby.
Thank you very much, thanks for asking me.
And as a player you were signed on an S form, initially by George Miller, would that be right?
That's right, yes. I played juvenile with Leaving Royals at that time, which was, as with Dunfermline United, were the sort of juvenile equivalent in the West, and Leaving Royals were one of the stronger teams in the East. So I played with Leaving Royals really from age of 13 to 17, and Ned McGeechan was the scout at that time, and Ned saw me play, invited me along and signed S form with when George Miller was manager.
But then when you were called up as a player, it was Harry Melrose.
It was Harry, yeah. Harry, I'd sort of gone, I think it was about fifth year at school at that time, and it was sort of decision time, and Harry was manager and had come to see me a couple of times, and must have been impressed enough to offer me a part-time contract. And I remember that really well, because Harry, my dad was a great Pars man, and Harry was his hero really. And in those days, when you're moving from S form to professional form, if you were still at school, there was a meeting set up with the headmaster and my father, and Harry came, and I remember Harry telling me what the offer was, and I was a Dunfermline fan. I wasn't going to sign for anyone else, but anyway, I got told about the offer, told my head teacher about the offer, passed the papers across the table, and my dad was so excited. My dad signed it, and Harry had to say, "It's your son who's to sign the papers, Mr. Robertson." So that was the start, and I think I was 17 at that time.
So that would be season 77, 78.
That's right.
And I think, if I'm right, did you make your debut against Berwick Rangers? Or did you play in Fife Cup?
I played, my recollection is my first game was against East Fife.
In Fife Cup?
In Fife Cup, yeah. And I remember going home that night never having felt so exhausted in the whole of my life, and it just made me... I played a few reserve matches before that, because on the S form lads that were nearing, at that age, were often given the opportunity to play in the reserve league, which was a midweek, usually a midweek match. So I played a few reserve matches, but the step up to the first team was a big gulf. But yeah, I think that was my first proper game, although it was, maybe Berwick was the first league game.
Yeah, I think it was, in a 2-2 draw away from home. But I think can you remember your first goal? I think you maybe scored against Meadowbank.
Yeah, I think you're right actually. I think you're right. I think that was
at home.
I mean, I never had very many to remember, Christine, but no, I think I did was scored against Meadowbank at home. I think it was a header, in fact.
I don't know that, but I think it was your first goal against Meadowbank. It was a season where probably we weren't doing too bad, and we actually finished third that season. And in the next season, 78-79, Harry took ill, I think, a part of that season, and Andy Rowland.
Yes, he did, and Andy Rowland took over. That's right. Andy had come from Dundee United, a fantastic career as a right back there, larger than life character from Glenrothes, and he did a great job in Harry, and with Harry's untimely illness, Andy was just ideal, to keep the momentum going, really, because we were pushing for promotion then.
Who were you playing? You were playing in midfield then when you first came.
Yeah, I was never a defender. Some folks say. I started when I played my juvenile football. I was you know, played up front, played the old inside forward position, and when I came here, I played midfield. So it's that same. I signed the same year as Paul Donnelly, and Paul and I played fairly consistently together midfield. So yeah, I think I may have had what tended to happen in my career is I just tended to play wherever I was needed, really, and I did move back later on in my career and became a defender primarily. But the first 2 or 3 seasons I played more midfield games, I think.
Yeah. So who were the kind of characters at that time? Because we had Mike Leonard was playing at that time, so he scored a few goals.
Well, there was some sponsorship deal at that time for hat tricks, and there was a crate of beer or whiskey or something was so, and Mick didn't drink that much, so he kept us going. He scored so many hat tricks. He was a real character. I remember one night he used to come through with Jimmy Mullen, who used to play up sort of inside forward position, and I'm not sure who was manager at the time. It was maybe Tam Forsyth, I don't remember. Anyway, he sort of was saying Mick hadn't turned up for training, and he was saying, "Where's Mick Leonard? And where's Mick Leonard? Jimmy Mullen said, Mick will not be in the night." Why will he not be in the night? Is there a wee bit of snow on the ground? Does he not turn up for training when there's any snow on the ground? No, Mick will not be in the night. Why will Mick not be in the night? He works on the gritting lorries, boss. So he was a super player, Mick.
Yeah.
He was didn't do anything outside the 12-yard box, but he could do a lot of damage there. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
And they had John Salton, who was the nearest thing to Roy Barry, I think, that we had. He was a fierce competitor on the pitch, and a gentleman off it, and but a real winner. So John, and also fond memories of Walter Borthwick. What he used to say, he would play all the football if I did all the running for him. And Kenny Thompson. And then, it was around that time that played with Hugh and the late great Hugh White and Bonner Mercer, who became my greatest friends in life, really.
Yeah. When you, at that time at the beginning of your career, you were studying medicine as well.
That's right.
So how difficult was it for you to do your studies as well as play? I know your career, you played all part-time all the time, but was it really difficult?
I think it became more difficult as I got older, actually. So much energy when you're 18, 19, 20, and I trained on a Tuesday and a Thursday and played on a Saturday, and the medical school environment was demanding, and so I would go home from training and get the books out and study till 1 in the morning. Never went out on a Friday night. So there were sacrifices, but the football was adequate compensation for that. I just loved it. Loved it.
Yeah. To go back to that season, 78-79, you won promotion to the First Division, and thanks to an Andy Rowland penalty against Falkirk here, and it was a midweek game, funnily enough.
Yeah, it was. But it was a great game, big crowd. I think we needed a point, and we went 1-0 down. And I think Big John Salton got injured early on, and I had to go and play at centre half. I'd never played centre half in my life before, so Kenny and Andy just told me where to go, what to do. I had a lot of spring in my legs at that time, and so played centre half, I think, for most of the end of the first half and the whole of the second half, and then penalty kick fairly late on, I think, into the Cowdenbeath end. I remember it well, and a lot of people didn't watch it. Andy, cool as you like, tucked it away, and that was it. And I mean, who better to be promoted against, really?
That's right. Yeah.
So that's a great memory.
Yeah. It was a good night. The following season, obviously we're in the first division, and one of the players assigned was Sandy McNaughton.
Yeah.
Another guy that scored goals for us.
Super player. Yeah, Sandy was a PE teacher, head PE teacher, and I'm sure he played a lot with Mick together. And Sandy was one of these players that he was a clever player. He didn't just score goals; he made a lot of goals. I think in that period, Sandy and Mick were probably the two main men.
Yeah. I found it maybe slightly difficult in the first division because we finished kind of 10th and low down the league, but it was maybe a bit of a struggle in the first division. Was there such a difference playing from the second division to the first?
I think there's always a big leap between the divisions. I think you see in those days, I'm pretty sure nearly all the teams would have been part-time. Maybe the top 2 or 3 teams in the upper division might have been full-time, but we were mostly part-time. But there was a big gulf, I think. I don't think we changed many players at that time. I always think when you're, when you get a team that's scoring goals and winning, the confidence is high. When you get up a higher division and then you maybe don't do quite so well, confidence isn't so high and results are harder to get.
Yeah.
But I think we probably needed to strengthen a wee bit more.
Yeah. The next season, 81, Harry, you must have been struggling because Harry left in the December and we got Pat Stanton in. And we kind of just survived that season as well, so it was a difficult season as well. But then the next season, 81-82, we still played, and you had Jim Brown that came in. Jim
from Hearts fame. Very experienced, player. That's the sort of player that is so important in a club like this. When we were part-time players, and he brought a lot of experience, helped on and off the park, but sadly had his time cut short with that bad injury.
Yeah, I mean that must have made a difference to how the manager then wanted the team to play, because obviously he brought Jim Brown in for experience and to help the younger guys and part-time players, ones that were less experienced. So that probably knocked his thoughts a bit.
Yeah, I mean bringing in that would be a big move for Dunfermline in those days. And that would have been the catalyst you would have hoped, for taking us on to the next step. It's very important, and I think in a part-time team that wants to really progress, needs to have some experience on the field, and invariably that's some experienced pros. So Jim, he was a great signing at the time. It was just sad the way it turned out for him.
Yeah. Were you still playing in midfield then?
I was primarily still in midfield, I think, and it was more. I think it was around the end of Pat's time, I think, that I started playing more as a fullback. Walter Borthwick was the guy who actually was, I think, responsible for me moving back there. He thought that that would be a position given. I was always defensively minded, I think, and looking, for where holes were when people were going forward, and I sort of had that part of my game, and I think Walter was the first person to suggest trying at right back. So that's sort of the latter half of my career really was spent there.
Did he come in with Tam Forsyth?
Walter?
Yeah. Or was that?
Oh, jings. Yeah, I can't remember, Christine. I'd have to. It was fairly early on in my time here. Might be with Tam.
Yeah. Because Pat Stanton left to go to Hibs, and we were still surviving in the first division, but then we got relegated, and we had Tam Forsyth had been appointed that season. So back down to the second division, and then Tam Forsyth resigned the following season in October, and Leash took charge. So what was the difference between the managers that you had? Because you played under Harry Melrose, Pat Stanton, Tam Forsyth, and then of course Leash. So 4 different characters.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
What were they like as managers?
Well, Harry and Jim were Dunfermline men. They loved the club, and they'd had long associations with the club. And Pat and Tam had fantastic playing careers with huge clubs, and so there was clearly a different affinity for the club. I got on tremendously well with Harry. You always like managers that play all the time, but Harry was a very humble man. He was astute. He was tactically aware. He could spot issues that were going on the park and change things. He was quite a modern manager for his time. Really, his training techniques were modern. Pat, again, a lovely guy, but we were on a slide then. Things weren't going well. The club had, it's probably the lowest, certainly the lowest time of my 11 years were these 2 or 3 years, and probably the club have rarely been lower in terms of Scottish football than they were at that time, and I don't think that there wasn't a huge personnel change between Tam's time, even Tam's time and Leash's time, but the managers make a difference, and the boys played for Leash. You never as a player go out and make a decision that you're not going to play for someone. The factors are multiple, and they're sometimes difficult to understand, but Leash created a happy environment. He was fantastic at building relationships with individual players. You felt important, and you really wanted to play for the guy. And if that squeezes an extra 1 or 2% out of you, that's what makes the difference. So, they all had, all had good points, but I think the team seemed to perform better under Harry and Jim. And
do you think that makes a difference then, when a manager comes into a club such as ours? Is that they have an affinity with it, or not?
I don't think you have to. I think it's maybe easier if you do. I think it's a complex job being a manager, very complex, and I don't think there's a formula for it. I think you use your your skills and your personality. But if you have an affinity for a place, you understand the club's ethos, you understand people. Because I was saying earlier today, you know, when I came back here as the club doctor, and I walked in the door, and I, you know, many years since I've been here as a player, I knew most of the faces in the club, not in the playing side or the management side, but all of the backroom people, the people that make the place work, you know, the fans, the volunteers, the soul of the club really, and that has been the same here. And I think you come in here as a manager and you've got that sense that, you know, you're home really.
Yeah.
And it maybe is a factor. It certainly was for Leash.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question that he would have been as good a manager at another club as he was here.
Yeah. When Leash came in, we were obviously, as you said, low down, and he signed a few players. John Watson being one of them. So, and he had Gregor Abel as coach. We were low down in the second division, and for a couple of seasons, and then we finally got promoted. But during that time, when Leash was working away with a club, I mean, there was players coming in, and Leash was part-time as well initially, and also doing commercial manager as well, so he was putting a lot of hours in at the same time. The players that he signed, you know, he signed Westy, and as you said, Hugh White was here as goalkeeper, Westy came in, and then we lost out on promotion, particularly in 84-85. I think that was a bit difficult maybe, because we thought we were going up.
Now that was that famous game out there where we thought we'd been promoted, is that right?
Yeah.
My memory is not as good as yours.
And,
but no, I remember that game. I remember that.
We thought we were promoted, and then it turned out that
dear,
we hadn't been.
That was. I mean, now you have to remember, this is terrible. I should have swatted this up, but Alloa and Berwick were involved in this. We were playing Alloa or we were playing Berwick, and the other team was playing up at Forfar or something, or up that neck of the woods.
We were vying with Montrose and Alloa to be promoted. And it was
Alloa were playing away from home, and we were playing here. I think was it against Berwick? Anyway, I remember the last 10 minutes of this game, and we were winning, and the sort of I remember going to pick up the ball for a throw in, and fans all had there was no mobiles, fans had the radio at their ears, and somebody said Alloa are getting beat, which meant we were up, and the game ended, and the fans started singing and jumping, and they were pouring over the barriers onto the pitch, and we ran in, and Leash had actually he'd got champagne opened, and I can't remember if it was Jimmy McConville or somebody came in and said Alloa equalised in the last minute. So we thought we'd been promoted. We even sipped the champagne, and then we found out we hadn't. Which I mean, that's unique, really.
I think his comment afterwards was, I said it was like winning the pools, but forgetting to send away your card.
It was surreal, really. He did, you know. Is Jimmy telling the truth, or is Leash telling it? You know. But no, it was. I mean, that was just devastating. It was, I mean, that's.
But from such a low, the following season was obviously such a high. Because you went up and at that time, were you captain at that time? So to be captain of the club, as well as going up as champion, it must have been a great feeling.
Oh, it was you know, a dream come true, really. From the it was great to do it with that bunch of lads, because you know what a great, you know, maybe not the best team Dunfermline have ever had, but I bet there haven't been many more teams that were, you know, bonded as friends. And you know, when I look, you know, Westy in goal, Davy Young, who's a super player, Bobby Forrest bombing up the left wing, and then you know you had the main men, Watson and McCarthy, really.
So I think they were a bit of fun.
Well, I couldn't answer that, because I was always sitting up the back of the bus with my medical books while all the fun was going on. But John Watson's a great character, great character. He had a transformational effect on us. He not only, you know, did he score goals, he was a great character in the dressing room. He was an inspirational figure on the park. You know, he never knew, you know, when we were beaten, he wouldn't accept that, and he would always come up with, you know, the unexpected. He was a great guy for me, because I could just lump the ball up the park, and John, if you hit the ball, you know, you sort of pinging it up the wing, and John would be 10 or 15 yards away from it, and you could just hit it into a space, and he would get there. And if your timing of the pass was wrong, John had this ability, he would be up in the air and he seemed to be able to hang there. So, you know, I had a reputation that I was a good passer for the ball, but it wasn't really. It was, you could hit it anywhere there and Watson would get on the end of it. And if you got, you know, up the wing, and I mean, Ryan Williamson would have loved to have John Watson in his team, because you just hit the box, and John had this knack of getting there. But he was a great character, great sense of humour, and lovely lad. And you know, I see John occasionally. He still comes along, and we always have a good natter about those things. And then it was John and the great Norrie McCarthy, and there's nobody quite like him. We used to have. I was captain. Norrie was, you know, a massive figure in the dressing room and on the pitch, and he would be. You know, there would be times during the game things weren't going well, and regardless of what Leash had said, Norrie would sort of turn round to me and say, "Doc, I'm going up." So he would just abandon the centre of defence, and it was usually myself, Dave Young and Bobby Forrest. We would just lock it up at the back, and Norrie would go up and win the game. Yeah,
he did that a few times.
He did that so many times. Yeah, I loved him to bits. He was a smashing lad too. You know, a real down to earth, honest man, honest professional.
Yeah, the two of them did well for Dunfermline, and Winker and Norrie, really well over the years. You know, how was it? What was it like then to play? I know you played. Westy was in goal behind you for a good number of years, but also Hugh White. So I mean, that must have been good for you as well.
Oh, great! They're two, you know, very, very gifted goalkeepers, and they both played, you know, so many games for the club, consecutive games for the club. You know, weren't they weren't perfect. They had their, you know, Hughie sometimes flapped a bit at crosses, but he was a great shot stopper, and nobody better. And Westy was, you know, he just commanded the penalty box. Big, dominant figure, loud, brave, and two great goalkeepers really. I was a rookie defender really, and you know, they taught me a lot. You know, you daren't not do what they told you.
Well, after promotion we got into the first division, and then obviously a few changes were made to the staff. Grant Reid, I think, came in, and Ian McCall was there.
Stuart Beattie.
Stuart Beattie, that's right, yeah. So, and that season again, I think you were out for part of that season because you got a knee injury.
Yeah, I was getting hamstring problems then. Unfortunately, it sort of was one of the main reasons I stopped playing. But I had a bad hamstring tear. It was against St Mirren it happened, and I was out for about 6 weeks and had a wee dodgy rehab period after that. So I missed a few games.
Yeah. But then to win promotion again, and this time to the Premier League, I mean, that must have been a fantastic feeling as well.
Oh, it was wonderful.
That
Wonderful.
you were actually going to play in the Premier League.
Yeah, it was so exciting. Hardly any of us had. And the good thing was a lot of the team were the boys who had been in the second division. We got up to first and then the Premier. There had been, the team was bolstered a bit by players you've mentioned.
Yeah.
But the core of the team were still the part-time crew that had come through from the second division.
Yeah.
And more and more were beginning to go full time then. And ultimately it was just Westy and myself that were part-time. I used to train with Glenrothes Juniors. I used to run up and down the hills, the Lomond Hills. I used to come here with Westy, and just two of us would be doing some training at night. So it became, it was becoming increasingly difficult at that time, because by then I was a GP. When I joined my practice, I didn't tell them I was a professional footballer. I wouldn't have got the job. And then, because every Saturday, I was supposed to be on call every third Saturday, and my wife would work for me on a Saturday, or I'd have to get another doctor to work for me on a Saturday, and I ended up working just about every Sunday.
Yeah.
So it was getting a bit harder for me then.
Oh yeah, I was going to say it must have been, because was one time were you not doing working in the old maternity hospital?
Yeah. I got to tell you a story about that. It was.
I'm glad it wasn't me giving birth.
I was on call, and my page, we used to just get called to the sort of more complicated doctors for more complicated deliveries, and I got a call. This woman was having twins, and there was a bit of a difficulty with the second twin being born, so I got down, and just as I got all gowned up, went into the delivery suite and helped out. The midwife would have done it, but I pretended I was helping out. And the baby came out, and there was a little delay. The wee one didn't breathe at first, and the dad was standing by the mum's bed, and anyway we did what we had to do, and the baby took a wee gasp, and everything was fine. And so I sort of handed, Mum had the first twin, and I handed the second twin to the dad, and he sort of had the wee one sort of cradling it, and I took my hat off and my mask off, and sort of wiped my brow because I'd been panicking a wee bit, and I could see the dad just sort of looking at me, and he said, "Bobby Robertson, Bobby Robertson," and he sort of nudged his wife, said, "This is Bobby Robertson, he plays for Dunfermline Athletic," and he handed the baby to the mum and sort of looked at me and said, "Hearts on Saturday, that's going to be a hard one." So it sums up what being a Pars fan is all about.
You probably had a few stories like that, actually.
There was a lot of medical stories, but yeah.
Who, in your playing career, who was your most difficult opponent, do you think?
I remember, this surprised when I say it was playing Clyde, but I remember that it went way back in the early days. Craig Brown was manager, and their front two were Pat Nevin and Steve Archibald. And I remember Pat Nevin, I was playing fullback that night, which was unusual because I didn't play there very often in those days, but Pat had given me he was a good player. He'd given me a bit of a roasting. I remember at one point in the match I had him against the corner flag, right up his backside, against the corner flag. Like, he can't get out of this. And he did some turn, and flicked the ball through my legs and turned, and I actually was standing looking at the corner flag. I hadn't even moved, and he was past me. So Pat and you know, Steve Archibald was a fantastic poacher. So that was a memory. Peter Weir, when he played for Aberdeen, such a hard player to play against. He was just so fast. I was lucky, although I wouldn't say it was difficult opponents. I was lucky to play against Kenny Dalglish, because Kenny played his last game here.
That's right.
For Celtic before he went down to Liverpool that night, in fact.
That's right.
And also got to play against George Best, which was quite embarrassing, because I was captain the Pars. George captained Hibs, and he came up for that wee season or so. And I remember in the warm-up, I was just sort of thinking to myself, I'm going to be shaking hands with George Best. And what do you say to George Best? So I concentrated on that throughout the whole of the warm-up, and anyway, referee blew the whistle and sort of went up, and George held out his hand and he said, "Hello Bobby, my name's George." And I was so embarrassed, I couldn't think anything else to say, and I just said, "I know I've seen you on the telly." So that was a treat to
and he still had it, actually, even although it was towards the end of his career. He still was a good player.
You know what? I remember in that game, he barely was out the semicircle, but every ball that came to him was killed first touch, and he played so many incisive passes. Lovely guy. I used to run. We used to have a players' bar, so we'd go for a wee drink after the game, and we used to collect the money, and I was saving it up at that year for a wee patient of mine who was a cystic fibrosis patient, and it was to send her off to Florida for a holiday. And George came in after the game, and he used to fly down from Edinburgh back down to London after the game, and he came in, and I told him what it was about, and gave him a Coke, I think it was, and he left £100 behind the bar for that. So I'd spent a bit of time chatting to all the guys, and, which we were all just sitting there, fans.
Yeah, I know.
A great man.
When you played in the Premier League, you had at that time, I think Graham Robertson had been signed.
Graham signed at the beginning, I think, of that season. Yeah.
So, looking back, you played and he played some games.
I think I had 20 odd games or something I played in, so we shared it a bit that season.
But it was a difficult season. It was, I suppose in a way it was euphoric because we had made it the Premier League, but we found it difficult.
Yeah, we weren't quite there. I think we learned from that. We came down that year, and then the subsequent seasons went back up more prepared. I think we went up again. We went up with much the same squad that additions, but much the same squad that had led through the divisions, really.
Yeah.
But it was hard. Well, a reasonable start, and then it got a bit tougher after that.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a few. There was probably, we had a lot of draws rather than wins.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Quite a few heavy defeats, I think.
I can't remember. Selectively blanked it.
But on saying that, you know, the last game was against Celtic at Parkhead, and it was such a great atmosphere.
It was a wonderful day.
Yeah.
And that was my last game ever for the Pars. And I think we just lost 1-0. And Parkhead was jumping, and there was like, remember they were the Celtic fans were really positive towards us, and it was a great way to finish.
And then you decided to leave. Is that right? You decided that because the club was going
full time.
Had gone full time.
Yeah.
But you decided that you couldn't do that, and decided to leave, and you went to Alloa.
Yeah. I had tried to play as much or train as much full time as I could this season. We were in the Premier League, I got some. I mean, the guys were training on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday mornings, and I got a locum in to do some work for me, my wife, on a Monday and a Friday morning, and so I came and trained then. But it was by that time I was a partner in my practice. I mean, there was examples. I was working at the surgery. We played Rangers one night, and I had to finish my surgery at 4 o'clock and jump in the car and drive through to Ibrox. In fact, I was left the M8 and was driving towards the stadium and was caught in the traffic, and it was an hour and a half or something before kick-off, and the police, it was they were mounted policemen at that time, and I remember putting the window down and saying to one of them, I'm a Dunfermline player, I wonder if you can help me out because I'm going to be late for the game, and just sort of shook his head, and I said, right, that's a new one. So the next stop just along, I got my stethoscope out the window, and I said, look, excuse me, I'm the club doctor for Dunfermline Athletic, can you help me out? So I got escorted, and I got there in time. But there was lots of incidents like that. There was a day at Parkhead, I had a surgery in the morning on a Saturday, and I had to drive to Parkhead, and it was just ridiculous, really. And it was I felt, I was missing out on. I mean, it's not just about fitness; it's about working on tactics. It's about sitting down and working at set pieces, and I was missing that. So I felt I didn't really feel I could do the club justice, do myself justice part time at that level. But I wanted to still play, for a year or two. So I had a chance. Frank Connor at Wraith Rovers had approached me. Falkirk were interested, and Gregor, who was a great fella, and I knew him from Jim's assistant, was manager at Alloa at the time. I couldn't have gone to Falkirk in the Rovers. So
I was going to say
no, I couldn't have done that. So I went to Alloa. 2 seasons I had there, but it was, my heart had sort of gone out of it a bit by then. Work was too demanding, I think, to give and it was driving from Glenrothes to Alloa Tuesday and Thursday after work.
Doing day surgery.
Yeah, it just. But Gregor, I think, was only there the first season, and then Billy Little came. So I played 2 seasons, and I was offered a contract for a third, but I'd had enough.
Did you ever wish that you had gone full time as a footballer, or
no?
No, because of your.
No, it's a funny thing. I think I realised when I was 17, 18, that I wanted to be a doctor more than a football player, really, and. And it was great because when you've been rubbish at the football, you thought, oh, I'm a doctor, and when you did a terrible day, in the surgery, you thought, I'm a footballer. So it worked. That worked really well, So I was happy with that, and I think the wee hint of full-time football that I got for that year in the Premier League, and it wasn't for me really. It was. I loved playing part time, and I think it was, the dressing room was great as well, because everybody had different stories. They'd had a different day, and you could Sandy McNaughton, the school teacher, and Mick Leonard, the lorry driver, and it was great, and Norrie, goodness knows what Norrie did, but and John had been a plumber at that time. But everybody had different experiences, and the banter was great. So no, I think I was lucky.
Yeah. And then you came back in 2007 to be the club doctor. And you did that for 10 years?
10 years, yeah. That was smashing, yeah. I'd actually had a few years doing that at Wraith Rovers. And then when Jerry Gillespie left here, there was a vacancy, so I jumped at it. and had 10 really good years.
Yeah.
And the same people were here for them. Yeah.
But you would have seen then probably a different side of the club at that time, being doctor rather than player.
Yeah, well, it is different, but I still, it's funny. I used to go in, and Mo would have, and well, Joe at first, Joe, God bless him, and Mo, they would have my kit ready, and it was just like your football kit, and I would sort of, put my kit on and look down, and my legs were still all right, and I put my boots on, and then I'd look in the mirror, No, you've moved on a wee bit, Robertson. But it was, I had a really good time, and things weren't that different really from when I played.
Yeah. So you must have treated a few players. Was there any? Well, there might have been one or two serious injuries.
Well, we did. We had a number. We had a. I suppose the sort of difficult ones we had with Stephen Bell, who had the terrible Achilles issue, and what a smashing player he was, but still, has come back and made it. Kind of still playing. Fortunately, didn't have too many. I've had a few nasty head knocks, a few good, a few players going about with significant facial scars, courtesy of me, after being stitching them up. So I had a lot of stitching to do. But fortunately, no disasters.
And you still come to the club as a former player.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about it. It's I go now. I'm here most weeks at home and sit beside my old pal Bonner, and sit behind my heroes Willie Callahan and Roy Barry. So what can be better than that?
Oh, well, it's nice to see you again, Bobby, and thanks for speaking to us.
That's a pleasure. Thanks, Christine. Thank you very much.